What's up, my friends? This is Heathen's Halt. I'm doing the very first listening video. I'm not calling it a reaction this time because it's really not. I've heard this album before. This is my favorite artist, Buckethead, and the album is called Somewhere Over the Slaughterhouse. A little bit of background to this album, because I actually know a little bit about this one. I may not always be able to provide this. This was put out in 2001 during his time with Guns N' Roses. And it's pretty out there. It's one of his weirder, more experimental albums. He actually collaborated with his cousin, who is now his roadie, called Sheetz. And Sheetz is like a DJ. And he contributed a lot of really interesting turntable work and samples and all sorts of interesting things to this album. It's kind of like a half and half. There's spotlight moments for Sheetz, and of course spotlight moments for Buckethead, but it's under Buckethead's name, of course. So anyway, we're gonna listen to this, and I'm gonna just kind of explain what I know and what I feel about it. And it's been a while. It's not one of my favorite albums, so I haven't listened to it much. So it's gonna be kind of a revisitation and seeing if I'm pleasantly surprised by certain aspects actually being better than I originally thought. So without further ado, I'm gonna get everything set up and record. Alright, so we're on the very first song here, which is the title card, the titular song, Somewhere Over the Slaughterhouse. So let's get rolling. I'm smiling underneath this mask. This is exciting for me. And it's funny. I know this song is, let me turn down the volume a little. It's hard for me to even put together my thoughts here. Alright, there we go. So this is like a mangled version of that song from Wizard of Oz, Somewhere Over the Rainbow, actually. And he's just playing on guitar. Sounds like a whammy bar, but he's actually just lowering the pitch there. And as you heard, we're going on into the next song. Okay, so you heard, I didn't actually notice that before, but the previous song segs into this one. The first real song, which is called Help Me. As you can hear, it's based off of the sample, which I don't know what movie that's from. I don't know if that's his guitar in this part. See, I like the first half of this album when I first heard it, because it was a lot more song-oriented, which you'll hear later on what I mean. Classic early Buckethead style riffs. Lots of discordance, and reliance on the minor second interval, which Korn did a lot. I really wonder if Buckethead was kind of a secret influence to Korn, because it really sounds like he's an artist that would draw a lot of inspiration from. Yeah, as you can hear, it's like drum machines and samples. The drums are not live, they're all put together from somewhere else, and then he's also got all these other crazy samples going on. I really wonder if that's Buckethead's guitar. Buckethead is a guitar wizard, you know? So it wouldn't surprise me if he found some kind of way to get that kind of tone. And then a random switch to acoustic out of nowhere. That really weird, twirling, kind of squelchy sound there. Good horror movie sample, that's for sure. All these samples are very interesting. Buckethead is in enormous horror movie fan, so we know that's where he gets a lot of his stuff from. This random acoustic out of nowhere. Such a weird decision. Well, Buckethead's weird, of course. You already know that. I mean, look, it's got a KFC bucket that has a deer written on it. His album cover is him. So this is like Japanese right here. And then this is like supposed to be a slaughterhouse. This is a great scale chicken, you know. I actually love this album cover. Except maybe for the Japanese film there, but other than that, I just love it. It's, I don't know, something special about it. It's kind of like, it gives a confrontational look. As if he's like trying to show, he's like, I'm ready to play for the lives of these chickens or something. It's part of the really Buckethead lore. What's his fascination with chickens? I say really because he's moved on a lot since then. He's moved on about a couple hundred albums worth since then. You know, so you really can't judge Buckethead today by what he did back then. There's still that essence in his character. And what he does today, but it's a lot different from this stuff. That's a good way to describe it. I'm not even kidding. It's literally got a very gnarly sound to it. Like it's somebody's being twisted. Lowering the pitch down like you did in the very first song. Alright. So I'm just gonna explain a little bit in between songs, you know. As you can hear, a lot of melodicism already off the bat. Like the first half, or a couple of songs especially, is very Buckethead oriented and very song focused, which it starts to change a little bit as the album goes. But anyway, we're on to the next song, which is called Bones and Poultry. Yeah. This is one of the best, actually. I know this one very well. Such cool riffs, man. Very chicken plucky sound in the guitar playing bit. I wonder if he kind of cut out like the highs and lows in the recording for that guitar. Like it's all like mid-range. That's kind of how it sounds. It sounds like it's missing pieces. It's missing the high and the low. It's very in the middle. So you can hear this is very similar to the first song, actually. It's more melodically ingenuous, though. Like it's more interesting. Melodically, the riffs are cooler, you know. You hear that little, like, reverse voice that kind of crescendos up at the end of each bar. All sorts of crazy stuff going on in this song. You can hear the bongos, too. There's sounds of bongos. So the title, of course, another ode to Buckethead's fascination with chickens. Yeah. best songs on this album, or songs that are easily understood, so I'll put it that way. Yeah, it sounds like in a lot of these songs, it's not just this, that chicken picking, unhinged riff that he's got going on right there. He's mixing all the elements together here, you can hear it. It sounds like in every single track, he's cutting out the high and the low at the guitar. It's all extremely mid-ranged. And I know that's because I've used these techniques in my songwriting as well. There's a real art to just making it all mid-range. And it's a really interesting touch, because I don't feel like he ever did it for any other album. I feel like this is the only album that I know where he cut out all the ranges like that. This is also a pretty lo-fi album. Like in the liner notes, I believe it says that he recorded a few songs in a kitchen and in somebody's home studio. So, it's not it doesn't have the best sound. It's got kind of a lo-fi sound. But that kind of contributes to the whole idea that this is like influenced by lo-fi hip-hop, right? Lo-fi hip-hop wasn't a thing back then, but it's got that feel of, it's low fidelity, so it sounds like everything is kind of sampled, There's a lot of, like, line noise, a lot of, white noise, which you'll hear at the beginning of the next song as well. Some great riffs in this song, Yeah, you can hear the guy knows his way around a guitar. You'll hear it even more in the songs to come. Okay, and just as I did before, I'm going to talk a little bit about that song. So you can hear we're still song-oriented. That was a fast-paced metal song, similar to the previous one, but just, I think, more ingenious in every way. Much better. The riffs are cooler, more unhinged sounding, and more melodically ingenuous. And everything, and the dude knows his way around a guitar, and P-Sticks is doing a good job. He does a great job throughout this entire album. He's actually probably more interesting than Buckethead, I think, from this album for the most part, which I know, very controversial statement to make. But anyway, so the next song is my favorite on the album, and you'll probably hear why. It's called My Sheetz. I love this song. Even when I wasn't a Buckethead fan, I was trying to listen to him and get into him. I didn't really like him. But I heard this song on this album and I was like, this is amazing. So you heard here, he's put echo on the acoustic guitar. And the beginning was him like scraping the strings with his pick, and he was even capturing the recording of him like tapping on the body of it. Such an interesting beat, huh? Oh, yes. Yeah, that thick echo on the acoustic guitar. Like it starts to overlap on itself at the end of each bar. And like it culminates into something. Yeah. still very melodic focus. It's very centered around Buckethead, coming up with nice stuff to play the guitar. Like, P-Sticks is taking a backseat in this song. There's lots of space for everything to just kind of flow, you know? Just that, you know, nice little 7 hits on the hi-hat groove right there. The snare has a really interesting texture, right? It sounds very squelchy, like somebody's being killed or something in front of you, I don't know. Kind of weird, but it just works, you know, works so well. And the bass is distorted. You can hear there's some fuzz on it. And it's just very insistent. It's just the one, you know, it's sticking very, very, very in tune with the bass drum. I don't even know if it's playing other notes. In my version, I wrote a chord change. Okay, so 7, 1, 7, 6, 7, 1, 7, 6, 7. Classic Buckethead progression. He does that in so many songs. If you've listened to his music for long enough, you'll hear it everywhere. I think he even did it in Surreal in a few parts in the studio recording version. So, other than the beat going on, the main things you'll hear that P-Sticks is doing in the song is like, there's that background, just running ambiance of like a thunderstorm. And it's pretty violent because it'll rock every once in a while. And then every once in a while he puts little snippets of voices on top, or like we'll hear here. Yeah, you hear that? That's like a ghost sound. That whole thing. This part's cool. It sounds like he's like playing more aggressively, or he mixed it louder, so all of a sudden it has like more of a sound of urgency as the song is closing. And you can hear that in the background. The thunderstorm is getting more intense. This is like culminating into something. It's the finale of the song a little bit. Man, they work together on some of these songs. Like freaking peanut butter and jelly, you know? Makes sense. They're actually related. So, and then it just all goes away. That was a very smooth cutout. Like everything just kind of drifted down the flat, and you just hear the ambiance of the thunderstorm. It's more intense in this part than it was at the beginning of the song. Alright, that was my Sheetz. My favorite song on the album. It's all downhill from here. Alright, so that was my Sheetz. That was my favorite song on the album. That's like the culmination, the epicenter of Buckethead's melodic guitar playing on this album. Great ideas all around, and the melodies, very melancholic and beautiful. A semblance of hope in them, you know, and it's on acoustic with great echo. It sounds like he let the full range of the guitar on that one shine through, like it was intentional that they did that. And P-Sticks really takes a backseat in that song. It's just a very simple beat that just loops throughout the whole entire song. Even the bass sounds like it's looped throughout the whole thing. But so many different elements of his character culminate in that, like the melancholic, kind of the horror obsession in the beat, you know, that squelchy snare, and the thick distorted bass. But see, this was recorded during the time that he was still with Guns N' Roses, and there was a lot of crazy stuff that the managers were doing to Buckethead while he was in the band. They were like hiring people to watch him, and they were coming up with crazy stories in the press, like he was a porn addict and liked the smell of poo and stuff like that, which has been disproven by his best friend Brain, who was also in the band. So he was just going through all this stuff, and so I feel like this is a very genuine song that he really wanted to get across the kind of mood in it, and the mood was that even though like there was a storm raging around his life, all these crazy and really not awesome things going on with Guns N' Roses, he could still find comfort in that he could just go to sleep every night in the comfort and security of his own place and just kind of reflect and for a moment just forget about all of that. And, so it's there is some sadness and terror in all of it, but it's also got a comforting aspect and a determined sound. It sounds like he's also trying to portray his determination to get through his difficulties at the time. So anyway, it's all downhill from here. We're on to the next song, Day of the Ulcer. I think it's the longest song on the album. So as you can hear, the beat and the bass line are exactly the same as in my Sheetz. They've just been pitch lowered down and slowed down. So it's like a sample being played at a lower speed. You hear the crackle too. It's obvious that he sampled it. He's doing this D-tape stuff in real time, which is like really, it's awe-inspiring when you think about it. That people used to be this good at doing the turntable stuff. New metal was something. I mean, the music sucks, honestly, but the whole DJ part of it was something you just never hear being done anymore. And this album kind of really gives me an appreciation for that aspect of turntablism, I always found what the other bands did in their music interesting too. I thought Incubus was very interesting, the stuff that they did on the album Science. The guitar is so thick with effects, like an extremely heavy wah or something on it. And again, it sounds like he cut out all ranges except for the mids. Like, is he even playing notes in there? Are those even, is it more than one chord? It really doesn't sound like it. It's so messed up. Of course, more on the right, you can hear more of a sound going on, like more riffs, not riffs, like you can hear a lead going on. There's notes, right? Okay, now he added a distorted guitar in the middle. So you can hear actual, transitions and chords going on there. And the really thick defected one is on. You hear a lot of thick, really choppy sounds going on in the mix. Listen to that, it's like Entry of the Gladiators, huh? That's very similar to Entry of the Gladiators. It's got a very kind of circusy sound to it. Unhinged, as everything with Buckethead is. Kind of sounded like a train doing it or something. I was about to say it sounded like a car. So this is the cool part of the song. Out of nowhere it speeds up. He starts just riffing away. If you didn't know he was a good guitar player before, I hope you know now. Yeah, that's so cool. I love how he's doing that. It sounds like that's an actual lead too, like that was something he wrote out. The kind of leads this guy can write sometimes, will just blow your freaking mind. And the fact that he wrote so many of them too, and still writes so many songs. Yeah, so cool. Yeah. The beat is perfect too. It sounds like it should be a little thin and weak, but it did just the right thing for that part. So less effects in this part. He's opened it up a little bit in this place. But now we can hear P-Sticks is starting to go a little crazy. What is that? Almost sounds like an echo blast. And there's somebody shouting. SST keeps... Ooh, that. It sounds like he's playing with his volume knob on that part. Like as he's doing his little volume knob swells up and down. Just playing very low down notes. You know, probably like F and E. He's just moving his volume knob up and down. Which is a great technique for songs too. It's very cool. Those sound effects are so sharp and punctuating, aren't they? It's pretty intense. You get one, like, every couple of beats, too. Like right there. You know? Then we go on to the next couple. It sounds like every 2 measures you'd add something. Crazy. This guy knew what he was doing. I don't know if he ever did anything like this with Buckethead again. I feel like they should have done something like this again. It just would make sense. I feel like this is kind of a time and a place thing. I think P-Sticks is kind of giving up scratching. It's mainly a roadie. He's mainly a roadie now. Because there's a beat going on, I guess I'm simple like that. But yeah, as you can hear, the melodic part of Buckethead's songwriting is starting to disappear. He's more interested in soundscaping and experiments in this later half of the album. Ooh, it's getting more intense. Playing in this part just doesn't sound very technical, though. It's kind of, it's pretty slow for something that's supposed to sound like really insane, you know? I'm not sure who they were trying to highlight in this part, because neither one of them is really doing a whole lot. Very simple, you know, minor key thing going on right there. More on the left. There's a lot of stereo separation on this album. And it's pretty cool. I don't think I ever noticed that before. There's gonna be another ad. So, as you can hear from that song, he's already starting to diverge away from the more melodic side of the album into just soundscapes, weird experiments. The baton is being passed over to P-Sticks a little bit to show what kind of interesting stuff P-Sticks can come up with every once in a while. But in these middle songs, they kind of have a difficulty even managing that, coming up with some of the ideas. The middle part of that song was really cool, and that's kind of the last conventional like metal part or songwriting part of this entire album. Pretty much from now on. From now on, it's just gonna be, you've never heard music written like this before, done like this before, and it's crazy and bizarre. And it's not really one of my favorite albums by him, but anyway, we're on to the next song. You Like Headcheese? So there's like 8-bit chiptune sounds going on in this, like you're playing a video game. Which Buckethead was actually noted to have been a little bit of a gamer when he was a youth. Or am I know, actually. I just know he had a lot of games. He did like baseball. He was a baseball player. He revealed that recently. Yeah, he was born in a time where video games still weren't really a thing. It's probably board games and stuff. Interesting touch though that they have those chiptune sounds. These are like very discordant, like jazzy guitar chords he's playing in this part. Like diminished chords or something. It sounds like. Oh, he went up there. I don't think he's actually playing anything really, just kind of coming up with stuff in this part. So not a lot going on in this song. You can kind of hear a very faint synth bass going on. It's kind of neat. But the beat is very simple. And P-Sticks isn't adding anything up on top to kind of like make it more interesting. So, Headcheese. This is the part I always remember in the song. He just starts, he does this technique called nubbing where he's tapping on the fretboard with two hands. I think. It may just be straight up shredding. And you can always hear that signature, like, Buckethead shape in his solos. He always plays, like, the same shapes in his solos. If you've heard enough around here, you start to realize that. Perfectly disciplined. So, Headcheese is like, it's like some kind of meat made out of chopped up pork head, which, you know, sounds disgusting, of course, and so Buckethead had like this weird fascination with it for a number of years. We're back to the chiptune thing. They bookend the song with these weird chiptune, like, little snippets. I wonder why they came up with that, adding that. The beat got a little more intense, did you hear that? Yeah. He's adding, like, an extra snare on top. And then he just takes it away. It's so weird. That song really is weird. And it's not very good, as you could hear. Alright, so that was Do You Like Headcheese? And the fact is, no, I don't like that song at all. It's just weird. And as you can tell, the melodic side of the album is really starting to feather out towards the end of this, especially in what Buckethead does. However, this next song is very cool. Which, let me check if this is another one of the long ones. Yep, 706. This is the one I'm thinking of. It switches up halfway through, but the first half, P-Sticks really starts to shine on this song. Hear what he does. This is radical what he comes up with at the beginning of this song. So this is another one of my favorites, actually, on this album. You hear that? He's taken a bunch of different random samples from, like, all sorts of different songs, or, like, movie snippets, and he mixed them together to form a very discordant and coherent, repeated melody. And then what he does is he adds, like, a counter melody on top of it. Using other samples, you can hear timpani in there. Yeah, it's so cool. A tough beat, you know, very classic Buckethead hip-hop beat that he had in some of these early songs. He's really not doing much in the way of melodic ingenuity on the song. He's just kind of shredding. Filling in some of the gaps that our boy P-Sticks is leaving. Not even a bass line in the song, it's just that weird sample. Or that mix of samples into that melody, that potent counter loop. stroke of genius you had there. The beat itself is very simple, it just loops over and over. But the way he put together that melody, it's one of the best moments in the whole album. Like Flight of the Bumblebee stuff going on there. With two hands. You can hear what he's shredding, you can hear what he's tapping, and this part he's tapping. It's crazy. There's a crazy story to how he came up with that, too. But I gotta lock in it, because I feel like some things are gonna change up pretty soon. We just got that. It's fading out right there. Some synth bass sounds going on here. Very heavily affected. It sounds like you've got like a filter on there. There we go, a tough mid-tempo beat. Interspersed with Buckethead just, shredding. I'm not dubbing in this part. No, he is dubbing. Oh my god, yeah. Okay. Switching back and forth. Yeah. Oh, you hear that? There you go. It's scratching now. It's a P-stick solo. Mix of a Buckethead solo. Burlap Curtain. Is that supposed to terrify me? Is the song supposed to terrify me? That's probably one of the best songs on the album, too. Alright, so that was Burlap Curtain. That's one of the best songs on the album. Just because of that insane point and counterpoint melody that P-Sticks came up just by stitching together a bunch of samples, so unhinged sounding and wild. As you can hear, Buckethead is really not coming up with any melodies anymore for this album. He's just kind of soloing and letting P-Sticks basically carry for the rest of the album, you know? So it's cool. It's like they kind of shared, both of them kind of shared this album. It's like a half and half spotlight moment for Buckethead and P-Sticks. I don't feel like they ever did another album like this. I don't want to say that for certain, but that's that's just kind of what I think. I mean, but this is like all you really need for an album like that. It shows you exactly what both of them can do, given this kind of style of music. So anyway, we're on to the next song, which is called You Like This Face. And I'm sure he's asking if you like his plain white expressionless mask and the black mask that he wears underneath it to hide his eyes. Do you like this face? Alright, let's get rolling. Very similar beat chop up there to an earlier song, it sounds like. I don't remember if that was Bones and Poultry or Halt. That sounds pretty similar. Yeah, tough beat on this one. Very nice bass line too. And then switch it up to another bass. Okay, yeah. He gets really into the chopping up. See the turntable scratching on this one. But instead of just scratching, he's like with samples. Buckethead's just gotta come up with weird stuff to go along with it, you know? It's like, how do you write songs to these beats? These are almost like jam sessions between the turntable and a guitar, which is wild, that they just come up with this stuff. Like, these sticks came into the studio each day, it's like, okay, this is what I brought together today. Let's just go wild. As you can hear, he makes those scratches up really loud. They're very intrusive on this part. Very disturbing. So Buckethead is coming up at once in each part. Like, he's trying to keep it melody or groove focused. But he keeps switching it up every couple of bars, which is classic Buckethead songwriting. You hear that? He's like kind of trying to mimic the sound of the gallows, the samples, or the notes of the samples in that part. He's kind of trying to match it on guitar with like some diminished stuff, and it's pretty cool. Very quick thinking. Buckethead was really thinking on his feet in that part. You can hear it. Not the biggest fan of this part. Because of that part. That part drove me crazy so many times when I was listening to it. I had to remember that it gets super loud in that part. Shredding. He's shredding. Yep, the classic Buckethead shapes in his songs. Like Buckethead was like fast tapping his kill switch. He's not using the kill switch a lot on this album, which I find kind of interesting. Songs go on for a while, you know. Definitely like jam songs. It's like turntable jazz fusion, metal something. There's no words to describe what this music is. Buckethead music. Alright, so that was You Like This Face. A very long jam on keyboard, or on turntable and guitar. It sounds like each day P-Sticks would just pull up to the studio with Big B and he'd be like, this is what I put together for the day. Let's jam out for a couple of minutes and just see what we do together with this, you know? Just not a lot in terms of melodicism or progression or anything, you know? But at the same time, still really cool because P-Sticks gets to show off his chops. He's not just the roadie for Big B, you know, right? He's actually also a musician too. He knows his way around the studio. Guy knows his stuff. So anyway, we're on to Wires and Clips. I think we're coming up to the end of the album, and maybe like 3 more songs. There's another one that's not really one of my favorites, but let's go through it. Yeah, as you can see, it's just 3 more songs, and they're all kind of short. A lot of that chiptune stuff. It's so interesting. Maybe P-Sticks was a gamer, or maybe he's a little bit younger than Buckethead. I don't know. Very fast beat here, huh? Very dissonant. Block guitar. He's got a very heavy block guitar on this part. Sorry, I'm sure you saw the sun come up during this recording. Because I did this and I started at like 4:20, 4:30 in the frickin' morning. Not a pop reference, by the way. I don't do them drugs. I'm a cigarette smoker, occasional beer drinker, and caffeine of all sorts, especially green tea. But anyway, that was an 420 reference, okay? Sounds like he's slapping. So Buckethead is known to play his guitar in a slapping style too. He can do it very quickly. It sounds like that's what he's doing there to make it kind of have a funky sound. And then he just kind of low down, you know. There's another song where neither of them is doing very much. You just kind of wonder what they're trying to highlight. I feel like it's kind of like when you're jamming with a group together and what you're doing is a little bit duff, you know? Both of you aren't coming up with much. It's like it's just one note bass line in the song. Maybe 2. So like no melody. And neither of them is coming up with a whole lot of stuff in terms of samples and scratching. He's just kind of running with the gimmick that I was going to play in wah guitar. Maybe do some slapping. Alright, let's switch up. See, I don't remember this part. There's some stuff I don't remember on this CD. It's a very tough, like, mid-tempo beat with a lot of swing. Or not, it's more like downbeat than I don't know how to describe it. It's a slower rhythm, for sure. He's kind of playing clean jazz chords for a minute there. Okay, so that was Wires and Clips. Another one of my least favorites on the album. Because there's nothing really going on that's very interesting in that one. You know, they just kind of ran with a gimmick. It's like it's one person, Buckethead came up with the idea of making it loud guitar focused and slapping, it sounds like, a little bit. And Sheetz is like, I don't know. I didn't come up with much for the studio today. But that's kind of like the magic of jams. It's like you show the moments where things are a little bit tough, you know. It shows that all this is coming spur of the moment, so when it's on, it's like really on, you know, like You Like This Face is a good example of when they were on, you know. And then the song before that, Burlap Curtain, those are examples of them being like on during a jam session. And some of these others not so much. But anyway, the second to last song, this is Knockingun. Snarly little sample trigger there. The triggers throughout the song. Like an air raid siren going on. There's like a descending 3-note bass line kind of thing going on. It kind of sounds like he made that through using a sample of like some kind of horn. Like a bow horn. He messaged me on Facebook. Let me check. That tempo beat. As you can hear, there's no Buckethead on this song. This is all pieces. Snarly sound right there. It sounds like he just came up with a couple ideas for this one, but I give this one kind of a pass because the ideas all kind of gel together. There's not much going on, but it's all kind of neat how it works together. Produces a very specific sound, and it does kind of have a gun sound. It sounds like you're on a boat, like an aircraft carrier or something. You got a big gun. It's kind of like the prelude to a naval battle or something. Other than that weird demonic snarl sample, which I just don't understand what that effect that has in that scenario, but Buckethead, it could be supernaturally. And then it gets intense out of nowhere at the end. But it's just that same low down, like horn sound over and over and over again. Okay, last song. It's gonna buffer. Yep. That's the only time I did not get an ad during this entire playlist, by the way. Conveyor Belt Blues. I don't think this is based on a real song. I think this is him just playing with his acoustic a little. Gives you a sense that this is like how Buckethead comes up with stuff on these early songs. It's a trip into the mind of Buckethead. A guy who used to be a lot weirder than he is now. I mean, he's still weird, but this kind of stuff is truly avant-garde. It's truly out there, man. Did he ever take this little bit and turn it into a song? You hear him trying to play it faster. very classic way of very classic way of learning how to play something. Oh, chicken strumming there, and then he just starts doing whatever at the end here. Yeah, I remember that ending very well. Let's click off of there. So that was Buckethead's Somewhere Over the Slaughterhouse. As you can hear, there's a mashup album between him and his cousin P Sticks, who's now his roadie. He did a lot of like turntable work at this time. That was the peak of turntable music in rock. Maybe he was in a new metal band at one point. It would make sense that he'd be in a new metal band with his chops and what he was doing, everything like that. This is kind of like an album that I was actually released during the time, the peak of new metal. But it sounds like it would have been a seminal album in like influencing new metal's development. You know, it sounds like it would be something that I don't know a lot of new metal bands. Something like Incubus heard and it was like, oh man, we gotta do this, you know, that kind of thing. So it begins very melody and riff focused, lead focused. It's Buckethead playing, you know, distinct songs and melodies and everything. And then it kind of starts to divulge into, it sounds like jam sessions where P-Sticks is really starting to shine and he's showing a lot of really interesting ideas he came up with in his turntable sample, the stuff he chose to sample and put together for a like jam sessions with Buckethead. And Buckethead took a backseat and kind of just did a lot of shredding or like little short snippets of riffs and stuff here and there. So yeah, it was very out there, Buckethead album, one of his weirdest, I would say. And it's not the fact that it's weird that makes it not really one of my favorites. It's just the fact that the songwriting isn't really there, you know, it's just very jam heavy and stuff. But there are some great songs on there. My Sheetz, you know, it's one of my favorite Buckethead songs of all time. That, to me, early on, that was like instantaneous proof that Buckethead had come up with a lot of cool stuff, you know, if he set his mind to it. And then Burlap Curtain is also wild with that point and counterpoint melody that P-Sticks came up with, you know, in the, to put together for the melody of the song. Very discordant, very original, very cool. And he scratched like a maniac on that song too. So yeah, it's pretty cool. You know, if you like this, leave a link in a comment. It sounds generic. I gotta say it though. And if you got cool ideas on interesting stuff that I can listen to, you're welcome to suggest. You know, I want to share a lot of stuff that I know about. But if some of you people know some cool stuff too, then maybe I'll give it a shot. So anyway, thank you, God bless, and good morning.